Hey, I'm Amayah Farley. I'm a double major in broadcast journalism and political science, and I attend Eastern Illinois University. I'm from Brooklyn, Illinois, a small town in Illinois right outside of St. Louis. It was actually founded by a woman named Priscilla Baltimore, who bought her own freedom and then helped escape slaves come from the slave state of Missouri to the free state of Illinois. I grew up in an all-black school, so there was no such thing as like black history. Black history was just American history to us. So from an early age, we learned about Frederick Douglass. The thing about Frederick Douglass that stood out to me was that he broke all the barriers as a black person in America. He lived during a time where people actually believed slavery was beneficial because they didn't believe black people were able to survive on their own, that they weren't intelligent enough. So he showed that that was not true, coming from like being a slave himself, teaching himself how to read and write, and becoming such a great speaker and writer. He was probably the first major black journalist in a way. It just proved that there is no boundaries that we could be held to, and for him to do it during a time like that where there was so much racial tension, it just shows that there's nothing that can stop me now. I think the fact that he was the first nominated African American vice president is really important to me, someone that does eventually want to get into politics. I just think that was such a great door opener, even today. Since coming to Eastern, I realized how hard it can be being a black student in honors. I'm a presidential scholar, and there was only 2 of us out of roughly 18 students in the class. So I understood that there can be a lot of challenges towards it, and a lot of times it can turn people away. So I've done the incoming class of 2021. Like, I helped do their interviews, and when I had different minority students or other students, I would give them all my information to help them. I've done panels where we have African American students that are hoping to come to Eastern. I just try to be the help that I wish I had. Food insecurity is a major issue here on Eastern Illinois campus and campuses worldwide, specifically targeting minority students and low income. So my idea for the app was that students could just go on their phone, see what the pantry has in stock, pick out what they want. So once they get there, they're able to pick it up, especially on times of COVID where you don't want so many people interacting with one another. What appealed to me the most about this program is that you have Frederick Douglass, who was born a slave in America, being able to go to Ireland, a new country where slavery didn't exist there, and be able to notice, okay, you guys have problems too, let's work together. To see that Frederick Douglass and Daniel O'Connell both were able to have a conversation, they both were able to work together on human rights opposed to just slavery or opposed to just Irish rights. They talked about gender, they talked about all these different things. It just shows that once we all come together as a community, there's nothing that can break us down. I also understand the relationship between Irish and African Americans even here in America. I'm a person that reads into history, and you see that there's a tight relationship between these two. They were both, even once slaves were free, these two are some of the most marginalized communities in our society, and a lot of times they decided to lean on one another. It's important to me to be able to walk in the same places that they walk. Growing up in Brooklyn, Illinois meant that I had 2 underground railroads in my backyard. I've had church services in the mall. To be inside that place, knowing that this is where slaves were just hoping for freedom, is the same feeling I expect to get by going to Ireland. I just think that when you're in that moment itself, it just brings a whole new type of awareness and fight inside of you that you want more. You see the bigger picture. I want to thank you for considering me for this fellowship and for creating this opportunity for students like me to be able to walk in the footsteps of these 2 heroes.